Welcome back, everyone. We're here talking about Sympathizer, Episode 2. Episode 2 of the Sympathizer came out last night. Should be last night by the time this is out on YouTube. Just want to start out with, some general clarifications. At the end of last episode, I was thinking he's not going to get on the plane. Maybe that was intentional. I thought he was going to not get on the plane, and then he was going to go to the camp, to the re-education, whatever that is. And because it started out with that in episode 1, but alas, he actually does get on the plane. The captain does get on the plane, and that's kind of where we start off this episode. The captain and Bone, I think his name is Bone, right? He's like, come on. Your wife and your child are dead. We still gotta get on the plane. So that's one clarification. Second clarification, I must have missed this, but the entire show is his confession, which is cool. And I think that, one big thing that I had to say about the first episode was the style, right? And this episode had that in droves. It kept up that stylistic intensity and that, that level of what I called effort. That you don't see a lot in TV these days, just with the transitions, with the style, with the way the story is told, the fragmenting time. I thought that this episode did such a great job with flashbacks, like the way that a story was told. Particularly when the captain was talking to Sandra Oh's character on that balcony thing at the weird white person party, and the captain was talking about the squid story, which was wild, by the way, one of the highlights of the episode. But the way that it would intercut, I something that I don't like about flashback in TV is when the entire episode, it feels like, okay, half of the episode is in real time, half the episode is in flashback. This show doesn't do that. It makes really good use of, telling a story non-linearly by fragmenting it and being like, oh, and we're in real time now. We're in the past now. We're in the past. We're in real time now. We're in the past now. And I think this episode in particular did a better job than last episode. It wasn't confusing. I didn't find myself confused. I constantly knew where we were in the story, other than like right at the beginning where they were driving the car in Texas. I was like, how did we get here? But they were like, that was intentional. We weren't necessarily supposed to know. So yeah, I thought that, the way that this whole show has been structured so far has been a real highlight for me. One major theme, I think, in this episode, and it was kind of touched on in last episode, but we only had one white character last episode. But a big theme in this episode is it was kind of white ignorance and kind of how America treated these Vietnamese refugees who were technically on their side, but still they have this kind of racist disdain for them. It started out with the captain asking for, I think it was rice starch, and those two Texan white guys in the convenience store being like, we don't have that here in America, and calling them Japanese, and just being generally racist, with also combined with the situation at the refugee camp, how heinous that was, and later on in the episode, Claude saying, we did that on purpose. Also combined with the second Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. character, the teacher, heinous character, so uncomfortable seeing him act the way he does. But he furthers kind of this point of white ignorance and kind of even the people who were super on the side of Vietnamese people, or who in the time were like, yeah, I love Asian people in general, are still, generalizing, stereotyping, fetishizing, just making kind of a mockery of a whole race of people and a whole continent of people. And you see that from the old kind of stuffy professor point of view, and you also see that from the young white progressive point of view, with the student journalist coming in and asking the captain these questions that the captain kind of calls out as being, you say that you're on our side, blah, 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 but, in reality, you don't know what it's like. And yeah, I think that the key the things that I liked most about this episode were those introspective moments that the captain had that were kind of him balancing, and like just more introspective moments, more identity focused moments. And I think that a lot of those moments came through the scenes with Sandra Oh, Miss Maury, I think her name was. Some particular moments that I can call out. I mean, the speech that he made at the teacher's party was really well done. And it is just interesting, it adds a whole layer of it, knowing that like he's acting on top of his acting, right? Like he's always acting. He's always, no matter who he's talking to, even when he's talking to these student journalists, even when he's talking to Sandra Oh or Miss Maury, he has to put on this front of being, pro-American, pro-West, like pro-North Vietnam. I think that was the side that he was on. And just to see him give that speech, knowing that he's acting, obviously, for the teacher, he doesn't really care or believe in any of this, but he's acting on top of all the acting that he does. It just kind of, I guess, raises the admiration levels of everyone for him as a character, he's good at his job. He knows what he's doing. And then you bring in Sandra Oh, you have this conversation about the squid, and Sandra Oh's character is such a bright spot in this show. I think she's so great. One thing I did want to talk about is I think she's Japanese in the show, which is kind of weird. I don't know. They made a point of being like, she's Japanese, Chinese, Korean, whatever. Like in reality, she's Korean. I looked it up. She's Korean. So doesn't that kind of contradict like the point that the episode was making of like, oh, it's kind of racist for people to say that all Asian people are Japanese, but she's a Korean playing a Japanese person? I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading. But yeah, all the Sandra Oh scenes were really good. I already talked about the squid scene. It's wild. And little touches too, like she was biting his neck in a scene, and then for like the rest of the episode he has a hickey. The moment with Bone and seeing the hickey turning the picture of his family around, like a lot of good dramatic moments. I think that like while the introspective moments were really great, the things that don't really like speak to me as much are like the moments that are supposed to be like tense or drama filled moments about the intelligence that he's getting, or like the fact that he's almost getting caught. Like the whole rat sequence, it didn't hit super hard for me. Like the general being like, oh, there's a spy, we can assume in the second episode he's not going to get caught, right? So the stakes just didn't really feel all that high to me. I thought the letters that he was sending back were cool. It's just I feel like this show really is at its peak with the introspective, and then with the like plot driven intelligent stuff, I don't necessarily think that has been as good. But the end of the episode I thought was good. When they were in like at the liquor store scene, one more good introspective moment was the conversation that he had with the Vietnamese journalist, and then just like the general being like, there's a rat, and then everyone kind of lining up with the final reveal that Claude's there, and I thought that the captain was getting caught at the end, and I was like, oh, because Claude was like, only the spy says that there's no spy, which ended up being confusing to me because in reality he wasn't really getting caught unless him saying like, oh, the spy is someone else, is this other guy. There's a dog barking. I don't know if you can hear it. Neighbor's dog is barking. I thought that he was getting caught, but then him being like, oh, it's this person, and then him going to get Bone and being like, there's something we can do, let's go kill this guy, the dumpling. A good cliffhanger, good setup for things to come. I'm excited. I thought this episode was better than the last one. There's a few more things to say. I mean, I don't know. The scene with Bone being like with his family, watching the coffins get hammered in. That was a very sad, very impactful scene. And then I guess one last thing, not to end on a negative note. I think the acting of the captain and the voiceovers are really good. I think that there are some moments in the like in real time where the acting isn't as good, but then there are some moments where it's great. Like the speech scene was awesome. So I don't know, you know, he seems to be coming into his own a little bit. Hopefully it just gets better from here. But yeah, good episode. Excited for what's to come.